So tonight, on part 2 of the Monster Slash build, we're going to be installing the Tekno rear drive shafts. Take this body off. Last night we installed the Robinson Racing slipper clutch assembly. I also installed off camera the cooling fans for the motor and ESC. Tonight's project's going to be the rear drive shafts. We're going to be using the Tekno RC rear M6 slash kit, part number TKR6852X. These also will work on a Rustler 4x4, Haas 4x4, and Stampede 4x4. And they also come with 2 sets of bearing carriers with different offsets. These are the 0.5s, and they also come with a 1.5. So let's get started on the project. Alrighty, so let's get started on putting these axle shafts in. First thing I like to do is take these 2.0s off that are right here on your top camber links. Take these off. And I just do one side at a time. Stick it down a little bit, yeah. And we got the 2.5 for your pin. You guys can see that real well. So we're putting this together for one of my co-workers, Patrick, and he asked me to, he bought a few of these parts and asked me if I'd put it together for him. I haven't done a Monster Slash yet, so I figured it'd be a kind of a fun build to do and to start my YouTube. Now, next thing you'll want to remove is the screw pin out of the axle, and that's going to be a 1.5. And I always like to keep a pair of needle nose pliers around. You just pull that out, set that aside. And I just leave these assemblies all one piece. Set those to the side. So first thing you got to do with these is grab your little spindle. And these have this little piece right here is what you attach your spindle with. It's a little black steel piece, and you just slide it in there like this. Okay, and then there's pins in this kit. Let's dig the pins out. And what you do is you take the hole that goes through this little piece here out of your CVD, and there's holes inside of your spindle. And you just slide the pin in. See, what I like about these axle shafts that are different than MIPs, see, MIPs have an issue where these pins fall out all the time. Well, the nice thing is these are captured inside your bearing carrier. So, you know, you won't have pins falling out or The other thing the MIPs are known for doing is they're for dropping the axle fastener pin that fastens into the axle carrier. So then what you do here, we're going to be using the 0.5s. Like so. It comes with new bearings because these are bigger than the axle shafts are 6mm, so they're bigger. Just pop your bearings in there like that. What I like to do is take your axle shaft and put your axle shaft in there so that pin doesn't fall out. Just set that assembly aside for a second. Next thing you're going to want to do is put your drive cups in, your diff cups. So you're going to pull that screw pin that you set aside from the factory Traxxas axles. What I like to do with these is put a little bit of blue Loctite on them too. I think these are really, Tekno RC, everything they make is pretty high quality. I've been running these axle shafts in a couple of my bashers, and I've got one truck that we're going almost a year strong on these things without a single issue. I did have a diff cup wear out, not wear out, but it chipped along the way somewhere. But that was, normal wear and tear. I had quite a few battery packs ran through it. Definitely make sure you blue Loctite these. You don't want those pins falling out. Snug it up. The other thing we can do to make it a little easier while it's off the truck still is shim it up. That looks like we can fit 2 of these. They give you these really nice stainless shims with these too. So, and the only part other than the screw pin that you need to save from your stock axle shafts is you should take your cross pin out of your old hubs, because they do not include a cross pin. So pop this little girl apart, get that cross pin out. So take your cross pin, reinstall. And this person didn't get the aluminum hexes. I can't remember that. I think the local hobby shop was out of stock of them, but they come with a new hex size because the stub axle is a 6mm stub axle. But they do make for these. I'll have to find the part number and I'll include it in the rear video for their aluminum hexes, and they're really a high quality hex, just like anything from Tekno. I have a set of them on one of my trucks that have these axle shafts. They also make a big bone drive shaft you can get. And there she goes. She's all set. You got your assembly all put together. If you guys can see that. So now you just insert it into your diff cup and reassemble. The other nice thing is they give you a sheet to tell you, different ways to set your toe and how the response will be. I'm going to start them off on 2. No, well, no, actually, I think we'll start at 5. We'll start at 5. And he can adjust from there. 5's almost stock. Grab your 2mm. What I do is I actually put these in the plastic first. I kind of get them started because you're having to cut new plastic pretty much, so. And there we go. We got a nice CVD drive shaft in there. So the process is the same for the other side. We'll just remove this pin. Start with the top bolt first. Grab your 2.5. And before I remove that pin, I'll take out the rear axle screw pin, the 1.5, pull that out, set it aside, same deal as the last one. I've done so many of these. They're pretty fast modification for me. they're not very hard to do. But they're a lot better than these stock slash axle shafts. You know, I've always noticed with these, you replace one of them, and then it becomes path of least resistance. So you put a new one in, and then it blows the one next to that, and it blows the one next to that. Before you know it, you got, you know, almost as much money as it costs to buy one pair of these into a bunch of plastic axle shafts. So I like to use these. I swear by them. Track down our 1.5. We'll put our blue Loctite on there. Oops, we might have grabbed the wrong end. We did. Snug her down. And the same process for our CBD. Put our stub axle on. Grab our center of our stub. Put it in there. One thing I like to do with these two is, for maintenance wise, I like to put a couple drops of oil in this inside of the CBD. Keep it going nice and free. That'll just bring more longevity to the CBD for you. Go. Got your pin installed. We'll take our last bearing carrier and break away the tree. Put our new bearings in. That's the other nice thing, is you get new bearings. Install our bearings. Give them a spin. Make sure nothing's binding up in there. See what I mean with like the MIPs? We got it captured in there. That pin's captured in there. I'm gonna take 2 of the stainless washers. Pop those on. We grab our old one, we grab our hex pin. Got our brand new hex. And she's all put together. And just reassemble like we did the other side. Tighten our screw pins. And give this one a shot. Like we did on the other side. Start it before we put it in there so we don't have to fight it. We'll get a couple threads started. And we are finished with the rear install. Let's see here. You guys can see we now have some nice, beefy, kind of lightweight actually, CVD axles. These are a definite upgrade to any Slash 4x4, Rustler, Haas, Stampede. Definitely a good upgrade. And they're very strong. Tekno RC tends to build very nice stuff. Well, thank you for checking out part 2 of the build. Here on the T-Bone RC Hobbies page. And for our next on part 3, we will do the install of the front drive shafts. We're getting closer and closer on this thing, so thanks for tuning in.